Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the AGL LR Golden Frieza, and we're going to see just how good he is in DBZ Dokkan battle. Now AGL LR Golden Frieza is a very solid unit. Only shame is really his leader skill and one or two of his links, but otherwise the kit is very good. He's a Resurrected Warriors or Planetary Destruction lead of Ki plus 4 HP attack and defense of 150%. He raises attack for 1 turn on his 12 key while lowering attack and defense of the enemy, and then raises attack and defense for 1 turn on his 18 key and causes mega colossal damage to the enemy. He will activate the entrance animation once only and reduce damage received by 90% at the start of the character's attacking turn, and with each turn pass, damage reduction rate of -10% up to no more than 60% in total. So that means this guy is going to start off super duper tanky, and he's going to remain decently tanky because 30% is decent, especially with LR stats and the way his passive works. He has Ki plus 5 and attack and defense of 100%, plus an additional attack and defense of 100%, and launches an additional super attack when HP is 50% or more. He also has an additional Ki plus 2 and defense of 50% starting from the turn in which he performs the 5th super attack in battle, and he has an additional Ki plus 2 and attack of 50% starting from the turn in which he receives the 5th attack in battle. So overall he looks really good. If he is above 50% health and you have both bonuses active, he has attack and defense of 350% with at the very minimum 30% damage reduction. So overall, that has to, or at least for me, I consider it to be very good. Link skill wise, he has Prodigy, Strongest Clan in Space, Universe's Most Malevolent, Super God Combat, Resurrection of F, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power. And he exists on the Resurrected Warriors, Movie Bosses, Full Power, Transformation Boost, Wicked Bloodline, Terrifying Conquerors, Target Goku, Revenge, Inhuman Deeds, Gifted Warriors, Planetary Destruction, Master Evolution, Sworn Enemies, and Battle of Fate categories. We are going to be seeing how he does on the Wicked Bloodlines kind of cross team, and then we're going to see how well he does on the Resurrected Warriors team. I obviously don't have Golden Frieza, so I will be using Friend Golden Friezas, which means we're not going to be running with the highest leader skill, 150% plus whatever we're running. So for in this example, we have a 200% leader skill for him. That's going to apply as around about a 175 overall. So just to kind of raise that point that he's not running under double 200% leads at any point in time or anything like that, which will affect his performance. Both Friezas will also be at 55%, just so we can get a really good idea of how well he does if you just pull one dupe of him. But yeah, already you can see 4.7 million, 2 million secondary super that's guaranteed. I would personally say build this guy fully into crit. Some people like to build him into a bit of a split for the additionals, but I think building him into crit is really going to be the best point of view overall. So we're just throwing a couple of attacks out at Captain Ginyu. We're going to just let us get some turns in here just so we can see how Frieza does over time. Frieza started off pretty strong with some decent defense, and overall Frieza looks really solid. I think my only problem with Frieza, I actually wish Frieza was an instant transforming unit, much like the final form Angel Frieza, that you can kind of automatically choose to put him into Golden Frieza form. And the reason being is, let's say this Frieza started as final form Frieza. Okay, you could instantly have him transform with his entrance animation, and in doing so he would be able to link with every single Golden Frieza from the Resurrection of F movie. So you could have this guy paired up as a second slot tank to the AGL Golden Frieza or the Tech Golden Frieza, and they would share perfect links, or almost perfect links, and that would have been insane. That would have been like the dopest, tankiest pairing of all time. I can kind of understand why they didn't do it. It would mitigate content for a very long time for the Wicked Bloodlines team. But honestly speaking, it would have been a lot of fun. I think it would have added huge longevity to this unit. The Isn't saying that they won't do that in future with another unit to give this guy that longevity, but for me I think that would have been a great call and would have really aided his dynamic. But we can see him building up, we can see everything kind of coming together nicely. Frieza is definitely looking very solid so far in terms of the defensive and the offensive categories. At 55%, it's pretty good as well, considering that he obviously does gain a fair chunk of defense from dupes, which will dramatically change how he performs. If you look at AGL Golden Frieza, he is, how damage reduction works, just to kind of explain it a little bit. Having 300k defense and 30% damage reduction is very, very strong. And every defensive point you gain, so if you are 330k defense compared to 300k defense, it's like gaining an additional 50k defense, just as an example. So it very much is. So here, by the way, we have 5 links active, looking very good defensively, pretty solid, 154k, which is really quite nice. And obviously no support on the rotation. We should have the vast majority of our passive active at this point. I believe we do have the offensive passive definitely active. And yeah, overall we're just going to see some pretty good numbers. We're going to start clearing out the enemy. We've got 5 links active with this final form Frieza, who by the way really wanted this Frieza. They really pair nicely together and helps them out a lot. 6.9 million, very good, no support, very solid. So as I was saying, because damage reduction works the way it does, every defensive point you gain makes the character a lot better. So when you gain like a 1 dupe in Frieza and you're accessing another 1200 defense or so, this is very critical for Frieza, as it'll make his scaling damage reduction, his scaling reducing damage reduction, feel less and less like a big deal. Obviously to go from 90% to 30% is huge, but the fact that Frieza himself does gain defense on Super, does also have the ability to activate an additional 50% defense, and the fact that he never drops below 30% defense reduction, I think means that he's going to be pretty solid for a decent length of time. Obviously it would have been nice if he had a guard or some kind of guard proc chance, but right now that's not really a huge issue. I think Golden Frieza looks exceptional. I think his toolkit is incredibly easy to use. His link set is also fairly decent, although not as nice as I'd want it to be. It is definitely incredibly good still for any Wicked Bloodlines style team. Here we're going to see a pretty good attack stat from him. We don't have the defense support of Turles' passive active because obviously we're not facing a super class enemy, so we do need to keep that in mind. But Frieza's looking really solid here. I would say Frieza's looking really tough. 7.6 million, very good. Yeah, just overall looking really strong. I think Frieza looks great, feels great. I don't think there's any massive issues with his toolkit. Like I said, small changes would have made him perfect, I think, but honestly Frieza is incredibly good, as is, even at 55%. Frieza is super solid. He brings so much to the table. He's incredibly reliable. Good damage, good tanking, and overall a fairly nice kind of like build up to him. I think he's not too hard to build up. There's not too many different things that you need to keep track of. I think overall he looks really solid, and I think that's represented in how much people respect and how much people were looking forward to Frieza releasing on Global. I think animations wise he looks decent. I wouldn't say he's necessarily at the top tier of animations, but I think animations wise he does look relatively solid. So we're gonna try him out on a Resurrected Warriors team, basically, to cut a long story short. They are, a little bit I want to say Res Warriors is a bit all over the place as a team. It doesn't really have like the craziest, synergy. It doesn't have like the wildest units, but it is definitely a strong team. It is still a decent category. It's a decent one for Frieza as well. Although his best linking partners are very much going to be the same as the Wicked Bloodlines team. So it's not like, if you want him to pair up well with people, it is mainly Wicked Bloodlines units. Frieza's link set really doesn't like aid itself to being anyone but like Wicked Bloodlines units, because of the fact that he's got Super God Combat and he's got the Resurrection F links, both of which are very weak. And to talk about his link set a little bit, because I think there is maybe one thing that I wish they would have changed with this Frieza. As much as he is from the Resurrection F movie, him not having big bad bosses is very much a huge hindrance for him in the long run. The reason being is big bad bosses is not just prevalent link for him, but it's prevalent link for his strongest team. LR Final Form Cooler, LR AGL Frieza, LR Strength Frieza, all of these great units that are key cornerstones of the Wicked Bloodlines team all need big bad bosses. Now, it's not such a huge hindrance if you run Wicked Bloodlines, because the floating units you have, generally speaking, will have big bad bosses, but it is still somewhat of a hindrance to the unit, because you are, to a certain degree, limiting his ability to link with other keystone Wicked Bloodline units in future. As I mentioned before, it's not the world's biggest train smash, but it is something that I think they could have changed just to make things run a little bit better overall. At least for me, I think they could have made this slight change. They could have dropped Prodigies possibly. I think it would have been better in the long run, but yeah, it's a very minor complaint. I do think he doesn't necessarily need big bad bosses, which is maybe why they didn't do it. But again, that's when I wish he would have been a Final Form Frieza that instantly transformed into Golden Frieza. I think that would have been clutch for him. In terms of linking partners, there's two very clear standout favorites, and that's the LR AGL Frieza and the Strength Full Power Frieza. Both are incredibly strong units, although whether they are still top of the list, I don't know. AGL LR Frieza has aged a tiny bit. Still a very good unit if you've got dupes in him, and I think Golden Frieza does help him come back into the fold, like to become a better version of himself. But yeah, definitely is a little bit restrictive. In terms of the rest, Final Form Cooler, very good link partner with this Frieza. You've got the Transforming Tech Frieza, who's got decent link sets with him. The Third Form Frieza, decent link set. The Transforming Physical Angel Frieza, decent link set as well. So yeah, just decent stuff overall across the board, to be honest. Just very solid links and a very decent link set. It's not the wildest, like I said, missing one or two crucial links. But yeah, generally speaking, you should be okay. Like, you should manage to hold down the fort and be quite fine. At least, yeah, from my understanding of the whole fight and just how to build them into the teams and everything. I think on most categories he's also okay. I think Full Power, he's fine. Inhuman Deeds, he's fine. Planetary Destruction, he's fine. Sworn Enemies, Transformation Boost, Target Goku. Wicked Bloodlines, Res Warriors, Revenge, Gifted Warriors, Movie Bosses, Terrifying Conquerors. All are categories that he's absolutely going to have pairing partners on. So yeah, I don't foresee him having like major issues with linking or pairing or anything like that. So you shouldn't realistically have this huge conundrum fitting Frieza into teams. but obviously I understand that players could potentially have some concerns over slotting him into every team. But that's just how extreme movie or villains are. They tend to just have these slightly wonky link sets, basically. So here we're going to take a look at how he does, or who his best linking partners are. Obviously, as I mentioned before, he's relatively strong with other Wicked Bloodlines units, although overall he's not going to have a lot of links with anyone outside of that category. Two of his links are just something you're never going to see. I actually don't know when you're going to run him with another unit that can have Resurrection of F or Strongest Clan and Super God Combat. Both are very strong links, but he literally cannot link with any of the Golden Friezas right now. So until they bring out an instant transforming Golden Frieza or another Resurrection of F Frieza that transforms in some way, shape or form, he's not going to be able to ever get those links. So that's kind of the only real bummer to him. Obviously, I guess you could maybe do it with a Battle of Fate team, but it just feels weird to prioritize that. But hey, maybe the game knows something I don't. But yeah, overall in terms of link set, I think Universe Most Malevolent, Strongest Clan in Space, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. If you can get these, you're basically ready to go. Most of them are attack based, and pretty much all of them are attack based. Strongest Clan in Space does help with the key. It's not so much that he needs it, it does just help him though. Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, Universe Most Malevolent. So yeah, overall just a very, very good looking link set. You can also throw in Prodigies if you want to. He does share that with a couple other full power freezes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, Super God Combat, Resurrection of F, you're never going to really get. And because he doesn't have big bad bosses or any other key links, linking him up outside of the Wicked Bloodlines team or units, I should say, not team, isn't really something I would openly suggest. So I think for the most part that kind of sums it up as his link set buddies. As I mentioned before, the full power freezes, AGL and Strength are going to be his best linking buddies. But he links very well with LR Strength Cooler, and LR Strength Cooler can pick up big bad bosses from any floating unit pretty much on his team. So I think that's the one where people are super excited, because these two make a very exciting 1-2 punch. Frieza being able to first slot tank for the majority of the game, and Cooler being able to kind of thrive in that second slot. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.